Barely 83 days to the June polls. The Political Parties Regulation Commission last week recommended to political parties to ban street rallies. The Commission noted that over the years, these rallies have posed serious threats to the security of the country. But what does this mean to the political and electoral culture of Sierra Leone? This morning, we've been joined in the studio by the National Publicity Secretary of the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party, Lahai Leema. Good morning and welcome to the show, Leema.
Good morning, Samuel, and I'm happy to be here.
Right. And we have Honorable Siraji Rollins Kamara, member of the publicity wing of the opposition All People's Congress Party. Honorable, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Sammy, and good morning, viewers.
All right, Honorable, let's start off. The APC is concerned with this ban. What's the position of the APC on this?
For the simple reason that we are concerned, tells you that we are averse to the proposed decision or suggestion, because it's still a suggestion. And politics is a time to showcase your strength during campaign. It's a time to show what you have. And of course, to say because of what has been happening, then we can as well ban football matches or sports events, because they are also a recipe for chaos or other things. But if we have a state security and apparatus that is charged with the responsibility of dispensing control and discipline, and the Sierra Leone police should have no excuse but to man that event. So for me, I think this is the only time the people have to get a feel, especially the grassroots who don't even know their leaders, who don't have time to come to the party office, who don't even know where the party office is. This is a time for them to meet, and know each other and just have fun and get excited to vote on the day. And so for us, it is a concern because maybe the SLP is jittery because they don't have the numbers, and so they don't want to feel ashamed. But we want to showcase that we have the strength, we have the numbers to beat the SLPP at all times.
Siraji, what contribution does a rally bring to the political parties during election? It
motivates the ordinary person to know that, of course, the saying goes, majority carries the vote. People want to see, when they see others, they say, oh, okay, he belongs here. Now I think I feel gratified to be part of the process. So having a rally, especially one that is controlled, of that nature, which is always the case for us, I think it adds value to the process.
And interestingly, for previous rallies, we've seen pictures and videos of the same individuals wearing red to dance the APC rally and wearing green to dance with the SLPP rally. So it comes back to, is that really anything that is really solid to go with?
That tells you the culture of our country, wherein people, just like when you have a Muslim event and a Christian event, when you have Christmas or Easter, you have a lot of Muslims participating in the event, even though they have no business with. This is the culture we are blessed with, And so...
is this politics or culture? What should we focus on here?
Well, culture is a way of life. Even in politics, the way we conduct the politics becomes a culture. If we like, I must borrow a page, my brother here, Leema, and I had been on radio programs before. But because we have a culture of respect between us, there had never been any fracas or whatever. So it's the way we portray ourselves. The politics had to move from the way people see. In fact, you look at me, I have a green pen and maybe a red, but some people say, I don't hold a green pen. You don't drink from a green bottle. No, I think we need to move from there. So that's why I said culture. Culture simply is a way of life. So what's the way of life of our politics? To see Leema as an enemy or as a brother? So I think that's the point I'm talking about.
Leema, before we proceed on this, what's the SLPP's position as a political party on this?
Well, it's something, in as much as we have said, it's in the interest of the states, and for good order, we are in support of that. That is why when the idea was actually put forward to all political parties at the PPRC meeting, our party subscribed. But also, as APC was concerned with regards what would be the method of converging in assembly area, was also one that we also shared with them for us to see how best that can be a proper guideline that will guide the process of helping people actually reach in assembly areas. And we've seen over time, as my brother was talking, that political victory has not been referenced to the number of crowd you are able to amass out. It has been how much you are able to put your political message out.
Well, he's saying it's perhaps you don't have the numbers for the rally dancing. That's why you're in support.
Well, let me reference him. The late Solomon Berawa of blessed memory actually amassed a kind of crowd outside the street of Freetown, and of which the APC was unable to get that type of crowd outside. But at the end of the day, we saw the APC won the elections. Also, with President Nkrumah's regime, we saw the kind of crowd the APC was able to amass outside. Probably in the city center, you cannot compare to what the SLPP was able to get outside, but the SLPP still emerged. So it has shown that amassing political crowd out has not been the mark of victory or your political success. And we've seen over time that this massive crowd actually being mobilized outside has actually undermined the very core essence of political rally or political messaging in itself. Because the essence of political rally really is to be able to put your message across to Sierra Leoneans generally, not necessarily your own membership, but Sierra Leoneans generally to buy into your message. So if over time, civil society organizations, other concerned Sierra Leoneans have seen that the essence of rally is being subverted into now where people have their individual grudges, other groupings, community grudges, and now see political rallies as an opportunities where they can unleash the grudges they have harbored over time. And that has actually been undermining the security of the state, the security of individual citizens, and also properties of people who may not necessarily be interested in even active participation in politics. And so we've seen all of these type of things, and we've also seen reprisal because of the kind of animosities that have occurred over the period in these rallies. So if civil society organizations and others, well-meaning Sierra Leoneans, have seen that rallies or political campaign is about political leaders selling their ideas to the citizenry of the country, and therefore we need decorum for us to really subject our political leaders to proper scrutiny and then be able to pose all the questions on their programs they have that will better help inform citizens of this country to make a better decision. And that will also help us to transcend beyond this culture of voting for tribe or voting or associating yourself with political parties because you think it's a party really that's galvanized around your ethnicity. But then when we have
let
decorum...
me ask this question, Leema, sorry. Let's go back since the late President Kaba, I mean in 1996, we've seen this culture being part of every political party, including the APC and the SLPP. And even as recent as 2018, these rallies were seen as a way to show the might of political parties. Why is the SLPP against the street rallies now?
The SLPP is not against street rallies. But the notion behind the ban for the street rallies is what the SLPP sees as prudent because it helps the promotion of state order, it helps to promote peace, it also helps to promote or to strengthen our democracy. How? Because democracy is about issues, it's about ideas, it's about exchange of ideas, how much you're able to sell your ideas to people, how much you're able to translate that ideas into concrete actions. That is what democracy is all about. So if let's take for instance, the then APC promised to build the university in Kono, and of which it was a promise they made. But because the people were engulfed in rallying jamboree, they were unable to pay attention to the message that was promised by the former president, Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma. But when President Bio came into governance, he promised that he will deliver on free quality education, and he will also strengthen educational institution and also expound on education. Now, because we were able to put that message across, it became a pressure on the government itself to be able to translate these ideas into concrete actions. And we saw, or we've seen, where those promises has now been translated into concrete actions. Now, as I speak to you,
talk
the
about,
constructions of the Cornell University is ongoing.
All of those things. We talk about democracy, and the concept of democratization and elections speaks to participation. And people, at elections, people participate at different levels. So those who are contesting, they participate as contestants. But the ordinary people, sometimes, their own way of participating is going to show solidarity, show support with their political parties through these rallies. Now, how would that affect even the SLPP? Okay,
they are not saying don't associate. They are not saying don't identify yourself. What they have said, this is not about jamboree. It is about assembling, listen to what message your political leaders...
Would you want to take the razzmatazz out of politics?
Say again?
Would you want to take the razzmatazz out of politics?
Well, it is the diversion, because normally, in the course of really going deep into this jamboree, other substances are intoxicated, and which enslaved mentality and then loss of control of good order becomes or creeps into the very good idea of really getting the crowd out and to listen to what message their political leaders have for them, and to properly scrutinize those messages and see how best they can ask sensitive questions that will also put those leaders to a task, so that when they are in governance or when they are elected into offices, they now have something to work on. But if at the end of the day you have too much of jamboree, people are drifted from what the message is, and you are unable to put your message across, you are drifted, you are distracted, it's not going to help situation. Right. And that is why we are saying that the very essence of political rallies or campaign is about putting message across.
Continue to stay with us. Let me quickly bring in Siraji. Siraji, let me piggyback. Let's go back a little. Yesterday I spoke with the chairman of the Political Parties Regulation Commission, lawyer Abdullahi Bangura. And according to him, he has, the commission has not received any official denial of acceptance of the ban. They put, two things were on the table. We ban political street rallies, or you agree to go on with street rallies, but sign an undertaking that if anything goes wrong, you will take responsibility. But all the political parties, including the APC, he said, in unanimity, unanimously, you accepted for the ban to come into force. So what are you averse about? Because in his words...
Listen, in fact, I'm a little bit perturbed by the attitude of this PPRC chairman. When I was with the NDI, Democracy Salon, I was the first national coordinator. We had a 64 civil society under NDI, and we coordinated. I'm happy that my honorable minister brother here talked about civil society. And these are days when civil society were actually credible. We mobilized PMDC, APC, SLPP to rally on the same days. We worked with the Salon police. Samura then was a sergeant. He was attached to NDI for political issues, you know. And well, all the seats of it and all these three parties were rallying on the same day. And don't forget, rallying is a tenet of political campaigns. You cannot take it out. And you talk about an document. When you have a message, what you read on rally day is part of your manifesto. You give an opportunity to people who cannot read and write. Let's say Dr. Samura goes to Bond or Pujaun. He don't know, but not many people knows him there. Can you just go to the town hall or the field and start talking? No, you have to rally and mobilize people to come. And in the process, there must be jollying, you know, something like that. So you see, I'm a little bit troubled that the police who have been charged with the responsibility of internal security are shirking their responsibility.
We'll talk about the police, but just, I know you're coming, just quickly, let's have this confirmation. Yeah. The PPRC chairman said you did not oppose. In fact, according to him, the words of the National Secretary General of the APC were, we are not averse to this. We are only concerned about the regulations, like the SLPP also mentioned in that meeting. So if you supported this ban, why now come out?
Quote, get me the exact quotes again, because I don't want to...
According to the PPRC chairman, the National Secretary General of the APC, lawyer Lansana Doumbouya, in his words, we are not averse to this ban.
Well, again, let me say this. Is that a verbal document that they presented to the people? that the PPRC chairman will expect a verbal response from Lansana Doumbouya?
Are you saying Lansana was representing himself and
no,
not
I would not
APC
think so.
as the party?
Lansana represented the party, but I would not think, for me, if you present a document to somebody, then you have to ask for a written report rather than quoting him verbally. Maybe, of course,
he said it's state.
Okay, well, let me say this. Okay,
in a formal meeting, even your statement
yes,
verbally counts.
As an NSG,
it goes down to the minutes of the meeting.
Okay, let me say this. He said he's not averse to regulating. That is, let's have the rallies, but let it be regulated. Is that what you understand? I think that's what he meant.
No.
We can
so
have
two things, according to the chairman,
right.
Two things were on the table. Let's ban street rallies, or we have street rallies, but then the political parties sign undertakings claiming responsibilities for any disruption or obstruction of the peace and tranquility of the state.
That is an unjust decision from the PPRC in the first place.
How?
It cannot do that. I tell you, this is a tenet. You cannot do without it. You know, I don't know, as I said earlier, this is a premeditated ploy to have APC stifled. You know, just like what happened yesterday, just to welcome Dr. Samuel Kamara, we saw police on brutal behavior, you know, at mile 38. So this is the fear they have, that even if you have a naming ceremony, Dr. Samura goes there, the crowd will come out.
We'll get to talk about the incidents yesterday.
No,
definitely, we'll give you time to
So the PPRC should not have even thought about that. He should copy from his predecessors. As I said, Justice Swan was the head of PPRC.
But it's a practice that is being that is fading away over time.
No.
Even in the regions,
in the Western world, it's an international best practice. You know, everything that is being regulated.
Those countries,
let me tell you,
go ahead.
just like when we have, I had the other day members of parliament debating that. For me, I believe that people who are in public service wanting to go to parliament, they can resign 3 months or even when they got symbol. But they say, no, 1 year. They say, why? Because they say they could tamper with public. You have structures that restrict people not to take funds. So if as a member of parliament or parliamentarians are now giving credence to the process, that means the structure they lay have no footing. You know, so you cannot do that. So the same thing here. The police or PPRC cannot run away from their assigned responsibility. Do it and do it diligently. Like yesterday, they tailored us, they told us how to work. We worked. So what is wrong with that?
Siraji, if the APC is to support the PPRC on this to ban the rally, on what grounds would you come to terms with that?
If APC support the ban
on the rallies?
Well, for me, of course, you had the introduction. I'm a member of the publicity team. We elected our national executive. They have been charged with the responsibility of carrying out the harmonious leadership, the day-to-day running of the party. So if in their wisdom think that this is a support, I have to succumb. They have been charged with that responsibility.
Yeah, so I'm asking now, if the APC as a party is to support the PPRC on this, to ban rallies, on what grounds? What would...
Well, maybe because...
On what conditions would you prefer?
You know, well, like you said, maybe you said, if APC says this and anything happens, then we take the responsibility. What if we have green boys wearing red shirts and come in the process of rally, they cause havoc on the street, they will now call the NSG, say, oh, APC had messed up there. So on that note, maybe that will be the platform.
And that's exactly what was happening in the past. You would have the SLPP rally, something would go wrong, SLPP would say it was APC or others. You would have APC rally, something would go wrong, APC would say it's SLPP and other parties.
And because the leaders have failed to create an atmosphere wherein these people we call ralliers who come and rally are educated, because you can't fatten the pig on the market day.
Siraji, if the PPRC is to go ahead with that ban on rallies and do it countrywide, not just in Freetown, but across the country, will that settle well with the APC?
Well, if it is regulated and all things being equal, we could, because we can adjust. You take us to the water, we can swim and vote APC. You take us in the air, we can fly.
So is your fear that the ban would be only for Western area? Suppressing...
No, I would not think so, because you cannot be that selective, you know, because even though we have the numbers here than any other place, we are not talking about that. Of course, we expect that any regulation has to be nationwide uniform.
So if it becomes a nationwide ban, would the APC be comfortable with that?
We've not been comfortable with many of the laws this government make. We have not been comfortable with some of their decisions, but we thrive. We try to survive. So if in the end they decide to do that, we definitely have to succumb, because they have the power. Because you even see the police press release talking about we incumbent government. Imagine they don't even, you see, to draw a line between certain things they don't do. So we know all the apparatus, the instruments that govern us, whether the PPRC, ESSL, what you name them, parts of the central government. So we can just play the game by the rules.
All right.
But again, I just want to remind about, I talked about, he said when he talked about the free quality education, but in their manifesto, he also mentioned about the bridge. And the people were dancing, but they heard about that. Is it, yeah, the Lunge Bridge, you mentioned about. Yeah, but you launched it even. So what's happened? Okay, no, but you mentioned that because we talk about an Bakroma University, we didn't do, you made a lot of promises we are yet to see, you know, so you cannot say because people were not, we were rallying and partying so they did not hear. You know, what, as I said, what we have, what we speak to people on rally days is what we have on paper, and that's what you said also, and what you have not delivered, right?
All right. So Leema, let's get to it. First, the Office of National Security and the political parties came out when the use of marshals was up, and they said, oh, we need the Sierra police to go on with state security, and we will not allow marshals to police political parties. The opposition raised concerns, said, oh, no, we're concerned because we do not trust the Sierra police to provide us adequate security. And now they are still raising those concerns. Is it that the SLPP is comfortable with this ban because it's the party in power and have all the resources at their disposal for security, and the Sierra police cannot afford or offer better security to the opposition when rallies are taking place?
All right, Simon, before I address that question, please allow me to just make some few clarifications. Being the public relations officer of the party, I read our manifesto in and out. It is not mentioned in our manifesto that we will construct Lunge Bridge. But out of goodwill and in the interest, I mean, the president's good intention of decongesting Freetown here, the need for constructing the Lunge Bridge actually arose. And at the same time, given the fact that we're trying to improve on the Freetown International Airport, there was also need to ease traffic and see the reason for decongesting the city center as an alternative to the airport they were really trying to bring to Mamama. You can cross-check that. So now coming back to the question of whether we are comfortable because we are in power and all.
Right.
I think, Samuel, I have tried my best to be able to follow how democratic processes worked in other countries. Say, for instance, I talked with some of my Sierra Leonean relatives who are living in Australia. What happened there? You hardly see people do not go on rallies. What happens? Political leaders actually go to goes house to house talking to people about the policies of the ruling government. What do they think? Did they achieve on what they promised to the people? And then some of them will say, okay, I'll vote for these people because they are honest, they are sincere about whatever policies they have. Yes, they achieved this. Yes. Some will say, okay, I will not vote for them because they promised this, they did not deliver on them, they seem to be very dishonest. This is the best way we'll be able to anchor the political messaging of our people, and this is the best way, of our leaders. This is also the best way we'll be able to evaluate what is put to us by political leaders and whether they have been able to accomplish on them, what are the challenges, how they have been able to surmount those challenges they are faced with based on focus they have made to the people, because all of what we put on paper, you're focusing. And when you come to office, you will also know what other challenges you'll be bedeviled with. And how do you manage those challenges in also delivering on what you have promised. So these are the marks in which you'll be able to aid your citizens to understand how to evaluate leaders who mean well for the progress of the country. Over and above all, the security of Sierra Leone supersedes every other individual interest. If we have seen that, like I listened to the PPRC chairman, he was also mentioning that much as we are concerned about the internal security issues as well, we also look at the external factors. And you will not know which other external factor that is out there would want to make or take advantage of opportune moments to subvert the security of the state.
Do we have any data supporting this move from the PPRC or government to ban rallies? In the sense, we've witnessed and we've seen, we've covered, we've reported political rallies over time. And there have never been major incidents to the destabilization of the peace and tranquility of the state. There have always been, incidents of violence along the line, but many would tell you that is not to the level for it to be banned. So is this a kind of saying, oh, it's the power of incumbency at play?
All right. When we won the elections in 2018, we had a need to set up a team in which the APC and the SLPP came together, put ourselves in group. There's one set of group that covers the Northwest. I was part of the group that covers the Southeast. We went along to engage with groups who have been so toxic in the campaign process, in the campaign program, that at the event where the other party actually lost the elections, and the issue of reprisal was an issue we had to contend with to be able to see how best we reach out to talk to our people. And so you also see political parties, like I mentioned before, they are like somebody who has worked in the security sector, say for instance in one of the area we consider to be swing in Kono. I worked in Kono for at least 2 years as in various positions. And so what you realize that most of the political tensions you have there is not really something that is coming out of the political rhetorics, but there are individual seated grudges that they have at community levels. So they always look out for opportunities like times when you have these political rallies. And so what happens? If I have issues with you in the other community, so what I do, if I see you are aligning with one other political party, I align with the other political party. So in terms of rally, I see it as an opportunity to unleash violence or cause trouble for the other communities. So to avoid all of these, this could be also something that the security sector has been able to actually put together to see how much they'll be able to decide to calm down the tensions, the toxic nature in which we approach our politics, and to also minimize the hate. Because when these rallies actually become very intense, if I have grudge for you, sometimes, or people who even do not believe in your leadership, what they do, they take time to go through those other boys, and when you get crowd out, you are unable to manage the
Leema.
manner in which they carry themselves. So they will go through other boys or through other groupings to undermine the very process itself. And at the end of the day, when they are in problems, they are being arrested by the police, and then issues come out. Oh, the police are high-handed, and at the same time, those political
Leema.
leaders dissociate themselves from
Leema,
those people who are engaged in such conduct.
Was this
Yes.
ban suggested to the PPRC by the SLPP?
Well, I was not in the meeting, but according to the Secretary General, this was a concern, like I mentioned, like you even listened to the NCD representative here yesterday. These are concerns not just now, that concern Sierra Leoneans who mean well for the peace and security of this nation, who have seen that the ideals of democracy or the ideals of political rally is drifting away and is also being replaced or substituted with the issue of violence, or also unleashing grudges people have harbored over time. So this is also a culmination of what they have done to see how best they will be able to minimize, so that this does not lead someday into anything that will relapse Sierra Leone again into the 11 years brutal civil war that we are just coming from.
I'll ask you again, Leema. Was this ban on rallies suggested to the PPRC by the SLPP?
Why would they? No, I would not know. The PPRC and either security sector, because they are also part of the board of the political parties regulations commissions. So this, I was not really in the meeting, but this was a proposal actually that was put forward to political parties. It came as a concern from other sectors, and that the chairman of the commission decided to put this forward to the political parties who were there, and also referencing issues over time where political rallies have undermined the peace, the very essence of rallies, the very essence of putting out messages to the crowd or to the public. All the political parties who were there, according to my Secretary General and the chairman of the PPRC, saw it potent and saw it viable, and they saw it that all the issues that were raised were realistic, and they were something they had to discuss. And that is why we said as a party that if it is in the best interest of peace and stability and to also strengthen national cohesion, then it's something we as a party will not deviate from, because our mantra is preaching one country, one people. And so anything that is actually deepening the divide, if we have to set that aside and adopt a new political culture in which our cohesion will be deepening, then it's something we as a party will have to follow.
If the security sector or the Sierra Leone police cannot police rallies, how safe would the elections be come June 24?
There is no way you say the policy. But first of all, security also is not the monopoly of the security sector themselves, but it's a collective responsibility of all Sierra Leoneans to ensure that the security of the state is maintained. And so we will not limit, the Sierra Leone police has a constitutional and legal mandate to provide security for the state and to provide security for the election itself. But it's also on us political leaders and political parties to also cooperate to maintain peace, law and order in the state. So to say if the police will not provide, no, they will. They will, but will their strength be enough without cooperation? That's the question. So that is why I'm saying that it is not the monopoly of the security sector themselves, but a collective responsibility on each and every well-meaning Sierra Leonean.
And sorry, Siraj, we'll come to you just in a moment. Leema, I'll take you away from your SLPP capacity for a bit. Are you concerned that the Sierra Leone police struggles to be able to manage security in the country? I ask this against the background that not only now are we to a point where rallies are proposed to be banned, but we also struggle from time to time to get police clearance to do demonstrations and protests just because the police cannot guarantee security. Are you concerned about that?
The other thing also I would want you to take note of is the very fact that our police are constrained resource-wise. If you go to other advanced countries where the resource is so in abundance that they will have to spend much of the resources on security, they have a lot of other alternative instruments besides besides lethal weapons. So what is the alternative weapons we have in Sierra Leone besides lethal weapons apart from tear gas? And we are getting to a point where people are becoming so emboldened that even when you tear gas them, they still they try to brave it out, to still face the security forces. And sometimes, if I am given that weapon for like being a military trained person, the first thing I'm told that weapon is my life. I cannot be carrying a weapon and you are putting my life under threat that I can't use it. So to minimize that animosity in which would even in the future bring our police in as, say for instance, enemy of the state, we want to see a situation where the police will be seen as a friend to the state or to the citizenry in which they are there to protect their interest, but not to see them the other way.
To do that successfully, do you think we urgently need to focus on capacity building for the police? The police,
yeah, capacity building is something nobody gets tired of as long as you live. But in terms of capacity, the police...
Has it become an urgent need now for
the police? The Sierra Leone police, they have the capacity. What we will say, we need continuous training so that they keep their training intact, and also see how best we can allocate resources, not just to the police, but to the security forces in this country. Like in our meetings, I have suggested that in the national budget, let there be a percentage allocation that will be allocated for equipping our security. It's just that I will not say much here when it comes to security, but there is really need to spend money on our security, including the military, the police as well, because they are charged with the constitutional responsibility to govern the state. When the state is under turmoil, when the state comes under external threat and attack. So there isn't much I would say about security, but there is need for us to spend money on our security forces, to give them better life, to give them not that kind of comfort that will also undermine the very core function for which they exist, but to give them that sort of comfort that will embolden their loyalty, their patriotism to their country. So there is really need for us to spend money on our security institutions.
So, Siraji, what does this bring to messaging and the platform for political parties if these rallies are eventually banned?
Before that, I think I want to advise my younger brother here. I think from his utterances, he had just maybe exposed the situation, the reality of the Salon police,
How?
And you mentioned about the gun is your life, and when I would think that would have been the last resort, But you see, when we don't even have rallies, I will ask him, the incident in Lunsar, was it out of rallies? The Tumbo incident, the prison break, and McKinney, all of these areas, were they out of rallies? No. And you ask about capacity. The Salon police lacks that, I must say. Why? Look at, you have over a fourth of the Salon police chasing bikes and drivers. At the end of the month, you give them salary and a bag of rice. You have a misplacement of priorities, simply. Because some of these officers will sit in the office, the junior officer must bring something, and you said it earlier. I will tell you, the police, Salon police, needs capacity building. As I said, the aspects of using the gun should be a last resort.
But I think I'm really being taken out of context.
I never interrupted, sir. We are one family. We are one family. And Mr. Wise, there could be a heated issue between us, but the way we talk could end up, because we end up bracing each other. But what we have and seen, experienced over time from the Salon police, even when somebody just say, hey, the next thing that guy will take out a gun.
But you would also not rule out how confrontational citizens.
Let's say, like I'm sure we'll end up to the incident yesterday. So what had provoked the situation that the police will just come out and start to kill? Let Mr. Leema know this, that there's only one life everybody has. The moment you take it from him, it cannot be reversed. So that's why the police should put up the greatest attention or the care to make sure that using the gun should be the last resort.
Even the police have suffered loss. Some police officers have been killed.
Because they have not been professional to an extent. We saw the same incident, the so-called August 8th, which I didn't know how it happened, and it happened. But look at what happened. There were two sets of security personnel, the OSD and the Salon military. Did you see any Salon military AXLAF person being attacked? This is the situation. The AXLAF are well disciplined.
But they have different mandates.
What I'm talking about. But again, they were not there to provoke a situation. But the Salon police, they are so easy to see people as criminals and start to. This is the thing, they have to maintain their independence. These are independent institutions. And you as a minister should provide that oversight, but more often than not, you have used them to aid your bad activities against the APC.
Just a minute,
you see, this is where, please, I would really suggest, if only you can have me a repeat of the question I responded to, or we have a repeat of that, because this is where people get me out of context. You come here with a sinister plan. I come here very open-minded. I come here genuine. And when I talk, you want to subvert that. I was merely responding to a question the young lady asked for us to see how best to salvage the situation and to tell you what are the constraints the security forces are actually grappling with, and how much we are also able to understand their situation and how we as citizens can respond. And you are not trying to subvert that to make me look bad. These are the things I don't like. Because by the time I leave here, it's something different you begin to see on the social media. This is not good. Now you are even going, telling the public, you are a minister, this is how you use people. This is wrong.
Yes, but that's the fact.
Can you please help us have a repeat of that, please?
Gentlemen,
because this is where you go wrong. No, but this is wrong. This is not how, no, this is wrong.
Gentlemen, Siraji, just a minute. Leema, we would be going for news summary in a minute.
Please, after that, let's have a repeat of that. Let's analyze it properly so that you understand.
Yeah, we could also give you access to that footage much later where...
No. He's beginning to show here his shrewd nature. And this is what is wrong. No, you are shrewd.
The good thing is the content is on our Facebook platform for clarification.
No, you've been shrewd.
But gentlemen, just before we get distracted and swayed away from the conversation we're having, Leema, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate the performance of the Sierra Leone police?
We can put them on 7.
On 7.
Yes.
I ask because 2018, when the SLPP was in opposition, I recall you had several concerns with the way the Sierra Leone police carried itself. For instance, when there was the disagreement, I wouldn't like to say riot or fracas, at around your party office, the police were firing tear gas directly into the SLPP party office. And during your media interviews, you had an issue with that and you called the Sierra Leone police unprofessional. From that period to now, what has changed that you're rating the Sierra Leone police 7?
Not just tear gas that was fired into our office. My own office had a live round shot in my own office, and they were even desperately looking out for me. But as skillful and well-meaning as I am, I was actually able to evade their attack on me. But let's look at what the APC did. I mean, how the APC actually led the SLP. Now, the SLPP office was vandalized. People were beaten. People were brutalized, raped. That has never happened in this dispensation. That has never happened. For even, let's reference what happened in their party office. Their Secretary General, Ambassador Osman Fodi Ansane, had a press release out, calling on his membership to come out on the streets. He was calling a mass crowd out, and with a caveat that they await further instructions that had a political, a security undertone, and they were cautioned, yet they did not listen. And they also assembled people in their party offices. And you would not tell what intention they were up to, given the nature of press release that they actually came out with. And the security forces, the police, cautioned and admonished them. They did not listen. In fact, to some extent, they even started confronting with the police. And so the police had no option but to get them out of that building for their own safety even. And that has been entirely different from how the SLP was led. In fact, there was a commission to the effect. You had the you had the Chiasmosis Commission, and there were recommendations even to the effect, which were also not followed. So it is completely different from what we are talking about here.
No.
So are you saying the professionalism of the Sierra Leone police is reflective on the leadership of the government?
Definitely not.
Okay, continue to stay with us, gentlemen. Leema, before we left off, I was asking you, is the professionalism of the Sierra Leone police displayed a reflection of the leadership we have in government?
Yes, certainly. Because it is the leadership guidance that is provided for them that is that they are able to operationalize. But at the same time also they need an independent evaluation of whatever guidance they have, because they have the constitutional responsibility to operationalize policy directives of government. And that is why they have the senior management who draw up their strategic plans. And their strategic plan is in tandem with the policy of government for their own constitutional mandate. And so in every situation, situation in life, the success or failure of every institution largely can also be counted on the leadership directives that the institution or situations is prevalent to the people. If, for instance, you have a government who has actually come up with its manifesto commitment, what is the intention of that government for the security forces? And it is on that the institution draw up their own mandate. And if that is not in line with their own policy guidance, then that is where decisions are also taken. But once the police or the security institutions or the institution itself draw up their own strategic work in line with the policy directives of what the government or the structure has, then you will be able to determine their success or their failure, depending on on the type of leadership that is provided for them.
With that submission, Siraji, how would you rate the Sierra Leone police performance under the leadership of the SLPP-led government?
Two things first. One, I see a situation wherein this is a perennial problem, not just under the SLP, but even previous governments, wherein, like Leema's minister, he will not know the true picture, because once he goes to check, those that are around will want to present, good things to him. like let's say President Bio is going to Lunsa, they will make sure that they fill all the potholes. So for people like them who regulate or direct supervises the police, I think they may not be open to know certain things like some of us do. So I pity him, because once he asks, they what we call in communication polite response. They tell him what he wants to hear. But also see an element of the normal saying here, orders from above, you know, because once the government supervises the police, then they have to dance to the tune of the government of the day. And that's where I said the police should be independent, and we want to see some professionalism. We want to thank the British government.
Let's get to talk about the police in the next conversation. Let's just try.
But she asked me a question,
yes.
so I'm coming to that. About grading them, of
Yes.
course, Leema gave his analysis. But I will tell you, when we were removed from Parliament on May 31, 2019, we marched from the law court to our party house. And just right at Kasiata Majandu Street, police from nowhere, armed personnel, started shooting at us, and we maneuvered and happened to go to the party office, because we are Bufis people now to do that. Then all of us, so they came back. That's how Divo is up to this in exile. Yansane, former energy, and the present chairman, they had to go to the canopy, to hide. They were forced, they were gassed into that building. So I've not seen, if at all, like what I want to tell you, that if the Salon police was bad during our own time, nothing has changed their own time. So
as you say that, the tear gas as well have fired into your party office.
Yes.
In 2018, I recall a similar situation, the SLPP, tear gas fired into their office. Not once did we hear the APC comment, complain, or say anything about the policing. Do you agree that both the APC and the SLPP have had sort of maybe a light-handed, for lack of a better word...
I say it's a perennial...
Hold on. A light-handed, for lack of a better word, alternatives like maybe field leadership to lead the Sierra Leone police through professionalism?
Well, again, maybe we go back to the way...
Have you collectively contributed to the status of the Sierra Leone police?
Well, the good thing, the difference between us and the SLPP, us and the APC, for us, like I've been an NRA member, we've been calling our party to order. So we time and again, we call our party to order. Maybe I've not seen that happen yet in the SLPP. So what we are saying, we time and again tell our party that, oh, okay, we did this, but I don't think we did it right. So now we know that the Salon police has a problem. And in this, for me, they have the head knowledge.
So my question is, has the APC and SLPP, through their leadership in government, enabled the Sierra Leone police to be
they have used
unprofessional, not in my words now, but based on your assessment?
They have used the police, in many cases, for their own convenience, which is not good for the ordinary person. Yeah.
So you both take responsibility?
Well, of course, it is the two parties that have run this country. So if we say anything goes bad, this is why we think that the appointment of the IG and other senior officials should be done by the police council, not the president. So these are the reforms we are talking about as a nation, so that we see the independence from the police. But how could you imagine that President Bio appoints Selu? What do you expect him to do? He answers to the tune of the president. So we want that to stop. This is all the reform we're talking, so that we have an instance where the police and the judiciary and other units will become independent and think for themselves. Yeah.
Just quickly, does this ban bring an opportunity for any creative and innovative ways to campaign now to the people of Sierra Leone from the APC's perspective?
Any situation has its own pros and cons, and it depends on your worldview. If you look, you want to see bad, you see bad. You want to see good, you want to see good. For me, just like how they brought in the PR system, and the excuses are because of violence. Now, what I said, okay, let's harmonize the PR and the consensus-based system. So instead of having by-elections, if Siraj is going for consensus 127, let's have another person as a standby candidate in the event he dies or he got an appointment. So we don't have a by-election, just like they are doing now in the PR system. So the same thing about what you asked now. We can also do such things and avoid this. We can avoid the street rallies. can have town hall meetings where people come and they listen to the message and they take it home. And of course, people have to come in bits one after the other. The little drops make a mighty congregation. So at the end of the day, how do they go? You know, if they felt good after the message, they may want to go home dancing. You know, but do you collaterally? So more or less, we cannot tight the bolts and not tightly that we cannot leave room. So I would say it should have been a process. This has been our culture for years. How do we move from a certain level, not from 100 to 10, but 100 to 75, 50? We cascade things in a way where, again, at the end of the day, by the time we come, once we were off camera, he came up with a salient point, which is good. He also mentioned that we don't even know about the external forces that might want to intrude into the system. But again, if we just think about that without having a concrete strategy, we'll fail. So what do we do? You know, we cannot just satisfy one element and leave the other. So we harmonize.
All right.
So we come halfway and see how we move.
Let's move on to, we have so many messages, but we'll take them in a minute. Let's move on to the other issue now. The incident yesterday at mile 38 between your party and members of the police force. Now, your party has put out a statement claiming it was an assassination attempt on the life of the presidential candidate. Isn't that too alarming?
It's not too alarming. When you see an armed personnel, you know, thank God I watch it here. I just think it's just like social media. Maybe you are the people who should be even credited for that video that goes viral now. Even a blind man will see the event. The deaf will hear what happened yesterday. Fortunately for me, I went to my hometown, Lunsar, and I didn't even know that Dr. Samurad was coming yesterday. I thought he came the day before and he passed. But so when I reached Berry Junction, I saw these guys moving. So, oh, Dr. Samurad, somebody announced, Dr. Samurad is just 2 miles away. So I stayed for a while. Then I said, no, I have to attend a very important event. My son got locally engaged yesterday. So I'm a big man now. I'll soon be a grandfather. Yes, very proud.
Congratulations.
You know, thank you so much. So I drove ahead. But believe me, when I reached my 38, what I saw was very alarming. I called 2 members of parliament. I said, what I saw in my 38, I said, it's not good I said, please, have guys, since you are controlling the procession, let it be controlled. I said, because it's not. I saw huge trucks of AXLAF, you know, of course, you don't go with empty trucks. They were all deployed. And a few fleets of vehicles of OSDs and all the rest of it, you know. And I sent out the message, I said, this is alarming. And I was not surprised to see or hear what happened. Again, for goodness sake, this is not a rally between APC or an issue between APC and SLPP. This is somebody being welcomed. And I read the police release. It's so sheepish, you know.
Sheepish in what sense?
Yes,
so, for example,
again,
the police saying that they had a gentleman's agreement.
Well, again,
I don't know. I just don't know if they are gentlemen in politics.
If they are genuine enough. But there was a notice to the effect the day before. They thought Dr. Samuel would cross on the 1st. And they alerted all the, I have the notice I sent there. They alerted all LECs and what have you to make sure that they prepared them for that. So now they said they went on a gentleman's agreement, which is very uncommon with silent police. Silent police usually write and they sign and say this is an agreement. But a gentleman's agreement, because they know if they had published anything and it goes to the media, it will have been a backlash on them. So that's why they said a gentleman's agreement. But again, you are not dealing with Dr. Samura anymore. You are dealing with the leader of the All People's Congress, the largest and biggest party in the country. You know, so on that note, you will expect that Dr. Samuel will not come like Sirajin and just drive by. You know, each major town or junction, it will have followers. It should be expected. And that's why the professionalism of the police was expected to, you know. And in the moment he left Potloko, Lunge to Potloko, you will know that from 5 will be 10 cars or 15 cars. There are MPs there who want to follow their leader. You come back to Berry Junction, Masheka, the crowd I saw in Masheka was very alarming, you know. I said, wow, just a short notice like this, it shows the popularity of the party, the love they have for the party, and the candidate. But to my chagrin, when I reached at my 38, you know, I saw all the security guys as if it reminds me of the days of the Rebel War. you know, where they will hide, you know. And you saw that was the guy pointing gun, you know, at people. For what? So what they would have done, it would have been very simple. Samurai is coming. Open the gates. In fact, that place by 38, I have issue with that. They call it a security checkpoint. It's a prayer point.
So what if when the police have prepared for 10 vehicles, as they claimed to have agreed with the APC to welcome Dr. Samuel Matthew Wilson Kamara, they've prepared for 10 vehicles, so I mean they can adequately police that crowd. And at the end of the day, they are claiming all the vehicles grew to 50, and that would
they drew unnecessary attention. They drew unnecessary attention. It was pre-machinated so that they create this kind of atmosphere. Oh, we asked him to go with 10 cars. Now he has flouted. You cannot do that. The police should not have even thought that way. You know, they should not have done that way to say, "Oh, allow you 10." It's impossible. You know, my daughter will say impossible can't. When something is impossible and cannot, you know. And you know Dr. Samuel is coming from his stronghold to the city. It's no rocket science to know that there will be cars joining him on the way. I saw people like Yvonne, actually, they even go as far, they were just around the Waterloo, Allentown axis. So had they gone there, it would have been super massive. But again, what's the crime there? To have somebody following you.
Let's piggyback on the agreement. Was there a gentleman's agreement between the Sierra Leone police and the APC?
And that's why I said I blame the police, because I've never known them for gentleman's agreement. They do everything in writing. And you sign. Okay, this, you know, in the situation of that nature, they knew Samuel would have signed, you know. I would not agree with that gentleman's agreement, definitely.
So you're saying there was no gentleman's agreement between the SLP
even if it were,
and APC?
It was not in place. You don't do that. You don't do that. Let's tell the police, we are not living in a police state. Let them know this, that the man is coming. This is election period. You should expect that. All you need to do, make sure that I remember I've been up country and President Bio was coming. Believe me, 30 minutes to time. They've removed all the poles, you know, no check. You know, even commercial vehicles will have a field day because President Bio is coming, because they know he's coming with cars.
All right.
Yes, so you can't do that.
Let's bring in Leema. First off, I would love to ask you in the capacity as Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs, someone responsible for the internal security of the state. We've seen the police have put out a statement on what really transpired yesterday and how they claim the APC breached the agreement they had. What does the government under your ministry make of yesterday's incident?
Well, I think the Minister of Information, if we have to look at it from the government perspective, the Minister of Information or the Ministry of Information is in a better position to talk about that. Or you invite the police PR to talk on their press release.
So, okay, let's go to, as a party, are you concerned with what happened yesterday at Mile 38?
Well, as a party, if it has the tendencies to undermine the security in the city, and then the police have seen it and they have given, they have admonished, and then you tend to violate or breach that admonition, then the necessary force that is required to subject compliance will be instituted.
The force you supervise as Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs is being accused by the APC, one of the two towering political institutions in the country, of trying to assassinate their leader and presidential candidate for the 2023. How much of a concern does that bring to even the security of the state?
That is a misplacement of concept. Because you say state security. Why would a state security come to assassinate an individual citizen? What was he doing? What was he up to? For you to have conceived the thought of assassination, then you are up to something subversive. Other than that, you cannot ascribe assassination to a state security institution. No, that's wrong. It's out of place.
Are we as a nation looking at what is really happening at this point and looking at the fact that Sierra Leone is named among the most fragile states in Africa, and with the fledgling democracy we have, where are all of these happenings putting the nation and the security of the elections come June 24th?
All we need to do is to be sincere. whether you are in SLPP or APC, let's be sincere to Sierra Leone. Because Sierra Leone is what brings us together. Initially, those who were early settlers into this country were never operating in this level of toxic nature of hate for one another. And I think it's about proper, again, we begin to go back to our history and try to understand how our people used to live and begin to acculturate that again into our own current generation, other than looking at politics as do or die. No. Somebody has to be in leadership position for a certain number of time, as prescribed by the Constitution, or even as his or her own destiny requires. We need to put Sierra Leone above our individual interest and be sincere to the peace and progress of this country.
You know, let's run through some messages. We have many messages that have been sent in, but let's just take a few. Usman Muhammad is saying, I know I dropped the question as a comment, and okay, that's not too clear. Ishmael Kamara is saying, ban or not, me already know the leader, just disturbing his peace, but anything that has date will surely come to pass. Just weeks from now, everyone will be over. Trust the process. Okay.
Samuel, please do.
All right. Mohammed Kabo is saying, we're pleading to our politicians who are seeking for power to sensitize their followers to maintain peace and stability of our country. Mr. Duazaki saying, I keep on saying that irrespective of our different political parties' beliefs, we can overcome peace. The police should be professional in dealing with crowd control, especially on political gatherings. Lance Nasise is saying, okay, I'm not going. Okay, Leema, it shows you don't read your manifesto. Please go to page 31. Woman number 3, developing infrastructure. Bullet point 3, facilitate the construction of a toll bridge to link Freetown and airport. The internet is a resource, my dear.
Fodebundu is saying the police should be independent, but that is difficult in the African setting and other parts of the world. The police should be doing ongoing trainings.
IBS Bangura is saying, Samuel, my brother, the president, Mada Wunibiu, has made it clear that his security forces cannot provide security to all its citizens in the country.
Alhaji Kamara Tijan says that's why ECOWAS has banned the Sierra Leone police for peacekeeping.
IBBS Banks. For the police, we need to take the appointment of the IG from the president, and vice president should not head the police council.
Manso Kanu says, what are the roles of the police? They are paid out of the national consolidated funds. I think the police should be independent in all of this.
Chris Javil Typis is saying, which peace and stability is this man talking about when they are abusing our constitution every day? Even the teenagers know exactly what is going on in the country. Sierra Leoneans, please vote wisely for the betterment of the nation.
Abdul Hadi Sanko is saying such engagement needs to be looked at, and let us be warned to beware of what is ahead of us.
Kathab Ukuruma, Samuel, this ban is part of the security because according to my estimation, this upcoming election will be hotter than the previous one.
Lansana Sise says Leema has confirmed that the action and behavior of the police is a reflection of the central government. I know his answer could be due to his anger and as a result didn't understand. I'll just skip that.
All right, Mohammed Kanu said we're not seeing good governance in Sierra Leone, and that's the reason we voted APC out of power with the aim that SLPP are going to bring in good governance in the country. But as far as SLPP is concerned, we rather have the mighty APC back to power because they focus on peace, unity, and development. I think this is the main reason why elections are held, to have a peaceful, sober-minded leaders in governance and not you do me, I do you back.
Mohammed Kagbo says we're pleading with our politicians who are seeking for power to sensitize their followers to maintain peace and stability of our country.
All right. The theory of utilitarianism speak about the government will do everything to maintain the peace and stability of the state, Ishmael Kamara is saying.
Ishmael again says it's better there is no street rally before we grow grudge and pointing fingers to an individual. which will lead us nowhere. Together, we can achieve great things.
All right. This message I will take saying the government cannot deny the fact of assassination attempt on Dr. Samuel Kamara. The incident yesterday was a clear manifestation of how the security forces have been used to cause unrest in the country. Do you want to replay that video there?
Ibs Bang says 100% support for street rally.
All right. Dr. Frederick Lawson in the United Kingdom is saying there seems to be a misunderstanding of the meaning of democratic adherence and the purpose of political rallies in various quarters. The issue here is the ability or inability to control those so-called rallies. What really happens is street carnivals. This involves incessant dancing and masquerading. This goes outside the bounds of political rallies, and that's when violence and other vices occur. People make comparisons with other countries where rallies are done properly. I don't know why someone should travel from Kisii to Brookfields to attend rallies where they will not be voting. I believe rallies should be held at locations within the boundaries of various constituencies. The way various groups are poised against each other is a recipe for uncalled for violence. Meetings and rallies must be held in controlled environments. Otherwise, they can easily degenerate into street carnivals with their attendant consequences.
Belgium Banks Senior says, let them campaign on radio stations and TV stations, please.
All right, the final message I would take is from Ibrahim H. Kuruma. Let's allow the Constitution to be referenced in all of our political activities. The current government is really suppressing the opposition.
Coca J is saying, 1 year to elections, we've seen all kinds of law to prevent some set of people. Injustice keeps on rising every day in the country.
Gentlemen, let's allow you to quickly respond to some of the messages we've gone through. We have hundreds of them this morning on Facebook, unfortunately.
And just the last one I'd read here is from Manso Kanu, who says, our state institutions that are supposed to be independent are not. The blames are on them. Gentlemen, your response.
Let's start off with you, Siraji.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I want to take a peek from the texter from the UK who talked about rallies to be controlled, like somebody coming from Kisii, coming to Brookfields for rally. It makes sense, because if he lives in Kisii or she lives in Kisii and he comes all the way to Brookfields for a rally or the stadium, he will not have to vote there. But as I said, this is an opportunity. Like when you look at the ECSL calendar, before, they will tell you that you have a day, today you have this day to rally in Freetown. You know that you have a day for Kisii or Brookfield. So what you do, you try to mobilize what you have, and so that you go and hear the message all at once. And that's why we have the stadium. But as I say, it's good, maybe it might not be super effective in some cases. So as he said, we could control these rallies, and this is where management comes in. Now it's a PR system, and so as a district block for that matter, maybe we will now have to tell people to do things within the precinct of the provision of the PR, the district block system. But again, as I said, rallies give an opportunity for followers to know what the leader wants to do, because not everybody can read. So moving forward on that, I want to commend his text, and I think in the future, these are the things we need to talk about. As I said, we cannot move from 100 to 10 or 0, so we try to harmonize things step by step, And somebody talked about change, and of course, President Bill, one of his videos, said, people are asking for change, people are demanding for change, but what type of change? And this is what has even led us now. We ask ourselves, we ask for change, we got the change, but what type of change? And the change from sanity to insanity, change from normal to abnormal prices, Somebody just sent a text that if you have money, go and buy fuel because prices will soon go up, All of these things, we are living in a situation where you don't even know, not even tomorrow, you don't even know what the next hour will be like, because of uncertainty of governance. And of course, Leema was asked that. I thank God I didn't read the manifesto. Somebody quoted the exact provision in the manifesto about the bridge. So maybe Leema wants to be able to me like how Awoko was doing to us in football. he will quote some provision that are not in the Constitution. So maybe Samuel Wise will want to tell you that provision and read it, that you have the bridge in your manifesto. And lastly, I want to say, somebody said, pleading to foreigners to keep the peace. I think that should be key. And I believe that. I believe Leema believes that as well. Politics should not be a matter of life and death, And this is why we are so concerned about the attitude of the police. The police should be independent. You don't know, tomorrow Dr. Samura wins. What will you have to do? You have to serve him. So what we are pleading here is that let the instrument, the structures that have been charged with the responsibility of providing security for the state, try to be apolitical. Let them try to create a situation wherein, in the event a change happens, they will not be looked at. Like somebody that security was shooting, somebody took his book and said, I know where you live, I know your child goes to this school. We don't want those messages. But why did he do that? And over and above, maybe looking at the porous and toxic situation leading to 24th of June. Because sometimes they say June 24, people say the election will be 2024, but 24th of June election. I will also, as we have short-term observers, long-term observers, I would also want to say, can we have security observer mission? Because this we say in Kalango, Mario de Gosina, the bachelorship. What you start to see now, will quadruple, on the day of election. And we don't want to lose innocent lives. We don't want to go back to warring days, and we want to see a situation wherein when the APC wins come June 24, my brother Leema will look at me and congratulate me. We'll share, drink together. As he said, Sierra Leone is bigger than our political parties, and our party should be bigger than individuals. All right. But until we have that right attitude, Salo is not ready to fall. So we have to be very conscious of that. We should be very, very much urgent in taking that message. Right. And that's why we talk to people like Leema to know that things are not going well, and the needful should be done. And that's where we have a perfect state. We are in, even when you are unemployed, you know that I can go to somebody and I still survive. That is it.
Let's allow Leema to.
Yes, I think two messages I needed to respond to. First has to do with the manifesto. If the person who made reference to that Lunge Bridge constructions, he has to read it thoroughly and even take out the clause. It was a reference as a futuristic achievement in the bid to expand, decongesting the city. It was not referenced in the manifesto as a program to achieve within these 5 years. So to say I have not read, I have read it, and I know exactly how it was used there. So try to understand the context. So it was even the desire of the president or this government to achieve that even in this 5 years, but even though it was not part of his immediate achievement, but if he was able to achieve it within this 5 years, that was going to be a plus to his administration. But it was referenced in a futuristic approach in the bid to decongest Freetown as an alternative to the Mamama project that was very expensive. Then there was another that was, okay, somebody was talking about, I have made reference to the fact that indeed it is how the SLPP government is responsible for the failure of the police. Well, it is quite unfortunate that probably that person may not have done some aspect of leadership training. Because if you have done some aspect of leadership training, you will know that when it goes good, the praises actually come on you. And when it goes bad, the fault or the blame is also put on you. But at the same time also, there is leadership for the Sierra Leone police. And he should, or there are leadership for institutions, they should be able to understand what their legal or constitutional mandates are and how are they able to come up with strategy that aligns with the government policies.
So, gentlemen, as we try to round off the conversation, let's allow and give a platform for you guys to preach peace to your supporters and the general citizenry of the state, because it is getting crucial, it is getting critical at this point in the build-up to the elections. Siraji.
Sammy, I think we do in such situation we've done before, we continue to do. And as I speak to you in the APC, we have a peace team. You know, we've just come from the convention. We have party differences. These people are bridging the gaps. You know, and we're also moving to the wider picture to tell people that, you know, violence. In fact, some of us join groups all over, like Vote Not Violence, like One Big Brother set up in McKinney. These are the things we want to see, and we are very much committed to that. We believe at any point you conduct an election in Sierra Leone, the APC, as APC, we have the numbers. So we don't want to see a situation wherein our numbers will be reduced through carelessness, you know, other things. So we talk to our people, and as I speak here, APC people listening, watching me now, this is our message. We want a free and fair election. We know we will win, but any careless behavior means that you could be in prison and you will not vote, or you might even be handicapped by anything, or even killed. We don't want that situation. Every vote counts. So please, my APC brothers and sisters watching me, let's be civil in our approach. Let's move away from uncouth messages. Let's be the real APC, the All People's Congress. Whether it be Mende, Shabu, Bulom, Vai, Kru, you know, whatever, Fula, you know, it is the All People's Congress, not some people. So it's our party, it's our Sierra Leone. It's for the betterment for generation yet unborn. We want to bring about generational change through these elections. You have a part to play, and we count on your cooperation.
Leema, message of peace?
Yeah, fellow Sierra Leoneans, this is the only Sierra Leone we have. We only take a different approach to lead Sierra Leone, but we are not aspiring to lead Sierra Leone to just lead the people who vote for our parties, but we are aspiring for leadership in order to provide leadership for the whole country, Sierra Leone. And we have to understand that Sierra Leone, of what we have today, is a contribution and effort of all our forefathers who made the efforts together to what we have today called Sierra Leone. Sometimes our strategy may be wrong, to misdirect you to believe that you need to hate another Sierra Leonean. But I want to say, we are the masses. When it goes bad, we are the one who be at the brunt of it, and therefore we need to cultivate the best of culture that is helpful, that will make us see ourselves as brothers and sisters, speaking the same common Creole that all of us understands, even if I can't understand your own ethnic language, but there is one thread, which is the Creole, that all of us are able to communicate in for us to understand. So we have something actually that unites us, that connects us. We don't want a Sierra Leone where I have to pay people 10,000, 20,000 leones to put my party colors and show that I have a crowd. No, we want a Sierra Leone where, without giving you money, but you feel satisfied with my policy and think that, yes, I believe in the policy of the SLPP, and therefore I have to vote for the SLPP. And whilst I also see the man in the APC as my brother, but just because I do not agree with their policy, I should see them as enemies. That is the kind of Sierra Leone we want. And that's the only way we can make progress that will be beneficial to us, the common Sierra Leoneans who are working every day for our sustenance. And so we need peace, and that's why we need to embrace ourselves.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time to be a part of the conversation this morning here on Wake Up Sierra Leone.